What's up, everybody? Pasita here with Inspire Bass, helping you to advance and inspire on the bass. So you want to know how you can start applying chromatic notes to the major scale. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you 4 places you can apply chromatic notes to the major scale so that when you play a continuous line, your chord tones are automatically going to fall on the strong beats. Let's check it out. Okay, so one of the main reasons why chromatic notes are applied to scales is really so that the chord tones of those scales are going to fall on strong beats. And this particularly pertains to playing a scale either ascending or descending as an 8th note line. So for instance, if I have a C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and I want to establish the sound of, for instance, C major, my chord tones are going to be C, E, G, and A. Now, in order to establish that sound, we're going to want those chord tones C, E, G, and A to fall on the strong beats. Now, for an 8th note line, your strong beats are essentially going to be the quarter notes, beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So you'll see that this being a 7-note scale, these chord tones are not going to fall on the strong beats if I were to play, for instance, a continuous line. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so sometimes they fall on the strong beats and then they fall out and vice versa. So we can insert a chromatic note or chromatic notes to this scale so that there will be a sense of harmonic balance with your melodies, okay? And basically what that means is your chord tones are falling on strong beats. So the first place that you can insert a chromatic tone is between the 5th degree and the 6th degree. Okay, so you have these notes C, D, E, F, G, G sharp or A flat, A, B, C. That's essentially a C major bebop scale. So if you want to know a little bit more about bebop scales, check out the links I'll put in the description below. But take a look at what happens if I were to count straight 8th notes with this additional chromatic note. You'll see that all my chord tones, C, E, G, and A, they're all going to fall on the strong beats. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1. Okay? So that is an important chromatic tone that you can, or chromatic note that you can apply to a major scale to get your chord tones to fall on the strong beats. Now there are 3 other places that you can apply chromatic tones to a major scale. And these are often in combination with another one. Sometimes, for the most part, but they don't have to be. Okay, and so here's some places that you can apply a chromatic tone. If I were to apply a chromatic tone between the 3rd and the 2nd degree, so between E and D, I'm going to put an E flat. Okay, you'll notice at this point the 2nd degree is going to fall on a strong beat. Okay, so there's a couple things that we can do here. You can continue down the scale, and at some point you will land on a strong beat. Okay, so or your line is going to end on a strong beat. So at that point, now that your chord tone is on a strong beat, I can now insert the chromatic tone between the 5th and the 6th degree because balance is already restored. Okay. I can also insert a chromatic tone much sooner, and this is going to be the 3rd chromatic tone. I can insert a chromatic tone between the 2nd degree and the root. Okay, so now I'm going to insert another chromatic tone between the 2nd degree and the root. So now balance is restored, and I can put my regular chromatic tone between the 5th and the 6th. Okay, so you'll notice that depending on where you throw the chromatic tone, you're going to have to put in another chromatic tone to bring the balance back. But whenever the balance is restored, you want to maintain this flat 6, or this chord tone between the 5th degree and the 6th degree, okay? Because that's going to keep your chord tone C, E, G, and A. That's going to keep that falling on strong beats, okay? Another place we can put a chromatic tone is between the 7th degree and the 6th degree, okay? So let's say I were to start my line on a non-chord tone like an F. So 1 and 2 and 3. At this point, this B natural is falling on a strong beat. So I'm going to put a chromatic tone between the 7th and the 6th degree. And that's going to restore everything. Okay? Once it's restored, I'm going to still maintain my original chromatic tone between the 5th and 6th. So my line sounds like this. Okay? And you can actually combine these chromatic tones. So for instance, if I were to start a chromatic tone between the 3rd and the 2nd again, and I'm not going to play this chromatic tone between the 2nd and the root, at that point, if I continue traveling down, my B natural is going to fall on a strong beat. So now I can combine that chromatic tone between the 7th and 6th. Okay? So you'll see that adding these chromatic tones creates a very natural flow, or a very natural line with your major scales. And it actually doesn't require as much thinking as it sounds. You know, I'm saying a lot of chromatic tones, but there's only 4 places that I'm inserting them. It's between the 5th and the 6th, between the 7th and the 6th, between the 2nd degree and the root, and between the 3rd degree and the 2nd degree. Okay? The way to know when to apply the chromatic tones really just boils down to, are my chord tones falling on strong beats? If they're falling on strong beats, at that point, balance is restored. You can just stay with that original major bebop scale. Okay? But once balance has been thrown off just slightly, for instance, and now you have non-chord tones falling on strong beats, at that point, you can start applying then the other chord tones or the other chromatic notes to bring that balance back. Okay, so for instance, let's say I were to just play the scale and not play any chromatic tones. Okay, so let's say I'm just going to start on a G. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and now I can add chromatic tones to make this all balance again. Okay. So I put in a chromatic tone between the 2nd and the root. There's really no right or wrong way to do it. The key is inserting the chromatic tones between those key locations to restore balance. Okay, so that's basically the 4 places that you can apply chromatic tones to your major scale so that your chord tones will fall on strong beats. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching this video, and subscribe for more videos just like this. Until next time, keep advancing and inspiring on the bass. I'll see you soon. Really, the main reason is so that your chord tones of that scale, your chord tones will end up falling on strong beats. Okay, so one of the main reasons why you would add, one of the main reasons that chromatic notes are applied to major scales, or any scale for that matter, is so that the chord tones will fall on strong beats.